Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Founder Stories, where I talk to bootstrap founders on their growth and marketing strategies to success. Today, I have with me Joshua Snyder, the founder of TimeNavi.com, that helps you track your time and helps you calculate how much you spent on your given activities. Also, this episode is brought to you by ProductLogz, a customer feedback management platform that helps you collect and manage your customers' feature requests, publish roadmaps, and publish change logs. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Great. Hi, Joshua. Welcome to Founder Stories. How are you?
Hi, great to be on the show. Really looking forward to it. Very
Absolutely.
good, thank you.
Great. Thank you for being here. And I am very interested to talk to you because, of course, like I said, that I usually have chat with founders prior to recording the episode, but I haven't had any chat. So you're completely stranger to me, and all your answers are going to be probably extremely new as to our listeners. Yeah?
Well, hopefully there'll be some good surprises. I'm sure there will be along
Okay.
the way.
Let's hope that. So let's start from the beginning. Like, who is Joshua and what are you exactly working on? Where are you from? Let's start from the scratch.
Sure, great. Okay, so I guess if we go back to the beginning and we go quite early, I was starting to build products pretty young, like as a kid, around, I think first product I built, I was like 12 years old. And
Wow.
there's a joke in the indie hacking community that everyone just wants to buy as many domains as possible, and we all buy domains,
Yeah,
and we never actually
absolutely.
build products for them, right? And so my first product was a domain selling website, so it would help people buy and sell domains,
Oh,
um,
interesting.
kind of like what Flipper.com
Hmm.
used to be. I think now they've transitioned a bit. But yeah, that was my first product. I was 12. It was fun. I earned a little bit of money off it. I think the first time I earned like, $50 or something, I was amazed. I was so happy as a kid. So that was what really got me excited about, this idea of growing, building companies
Yeah, you
and,
got the
and
taste
indie
very
hacking.
early on. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, when you're 12, when you get a little bit of money in your bank account and it didn't come from your parents,
Yeah,
it's a pretty exciting feeling. So yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And where are
Yeah.
you from?
I'm from the UK. So I was born in Cambridge, and
Hmm.
then I moved up to the north of the UK, the Lake District. Yeah.
Great. Amazing.
So,
And you're settled there?
sorry, could you say that again?
Are you settled there, or are you like someone who's a nomad building products from here and there?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. I'm now settled back in Cambridge, which is really nice. But I spent a year and a half, 2 years, with my wife, traveling around, mostly around Europe, digital nomading. And that was just because at the time, we didn't have the money
Mhm.
to live here because it's quite expensive living here.
Yeah.
And so that was fun. We went to different countries, and yeah, it was a really good experience.
That's amazing. Even I love traveling, and this has also been a dream for me that well we can do some digital nomading and traveling as part of the job, as part of the journey. Yeah,
Totally. It's the freedom that comes with it. It's really
absolutely.
amazing. So where are you now? Are you traveling right now?
I am currently in Bangalore, but we just came back from Thailand. So yeah, we are sort
Oh,
of
great.
traveling, building products. Yeah. So this is how even
Fantastic.
we are doing. Hopefully, we are thinking to settle down somewhere, but then my partner is like, no, let's travel and do digital nomading.
It's like you're thinking of settling down, but then you see the beach and you think,
Yeah.
oh, well, it's quite hot, quite hot to go back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what brought you to build TimeNavi, and was there any prior products that you had built, or was it that this was a one shot achievement?
Yeah, sure. So I'm trying to think. So yeah, I built a bunch of products as a kid. And some of them made a small amount of money, nothing major. But it was fun, and I learned web development. Back then, everything was PHP, and there wasn't Stripe and all of these nice things that we have now that make
Yeah.
things a lot easier. But then, yeah, after that, I stopped doing product development and I went to university. I studied maths here in Cambridge, which was really nice. And so I took a pause. That was very, very intense, a lot of work. And so took a pause from building products. And then in my final year, here when I was doing my master's, I started building TimeNavi alongside my studies together with my wife, who was then my girlfriend at the time. And we started building that together. So after university, that was the first project, first serious project that we worked on. Yeah, so it was the first, I guess,
Pretty
in
pretty
a way.
interesting to find someone who started building off, in during college days, and specifically managing time along with your courses, with building a product. How
Yeah.
was it?
Yeah, that was it was a bit stressful, but I think because it was our final year and we were in our masters, we'd already got our bachelor's degrees and we felt a bit less stressed. That was the year of COVID actually. So
Oh,
we were doing 4 hours a day on our studies and 4 hours a day on the startup, and then the rest of the time socializing and having fun.
that's
And
interesting.
so, yeah, it was a nice split. In a way, it was a good distraction from the studies, but
So
I
so did
definitely would
you
recommend it to other students for sure.
did you start TimeNavi with the thought in mind that you want to build a product, scale it, and you'll be working on it for a long time, or was it just a side project for you?
It was a side project. Yeah, it was just something fun. Really, what motivated us was like my wife in particular we saw a lot of our friends who were studying and they were getting very stressed and not able to manage their time. And we thought surely there's a better way that we can help people to manage their time. And that's what kind of got the idea of TimeNavi. But in the beginning, it was just a spreadsheet and we were trying to give people scores on their time management. It wasn't a proper application. So it was really a side project at first. And then, that slowly developed into a business. We had one of our good friends join us as well. And so, yeah, it was slow to develop into a business. At first, we really just thought it was a side project.
Just for the context of our listeners, what is TimeNavi?
Yeah, TimeNavi is a time tracker that uses your calendar. So instead of using a timer, some time trackers they have start stop timers. We found those really annoying, and so we wanted to help people to use tools that they already know how to use. And a lot of people use their calendar,
Yeah.
their Google Calendar or Microsoft Calendar. So we help them to track time just using that. Yeah.
Interesting. And were your first users your own, your college friends, or how did you approach your first users?
Yeah, first user was my wife's dad, of course, and then after that, yeah, a bunch of friends who tried out the application.
I'm really
Um,
interested to know what your wife's dad had to say.
well, he had been working a little bit on the project together with my wife,
Oh,
so in that sense, he kind of knew what to expect with the product, but he was excited about it. But my wife's dad, he's not a developer, so when he looked at the application, I think he thought, it doesn't look very good, because it was the MVP, so it wasn't very professional yet.
so he wasn't very pleased, or he's like, okay, I can work with it.
I think he was like, I can work with it. Yeah. Our first product was like, after we had the spreadsheet, we then built the initial product, and that product was it was a card with smiley faces. So you had a smiley face when it was a good day, and an unhappy face when it was a bad day. And so it wasn't particularly useful, to be honest. But it was something, right? It was the MVP, and so I think he was a bit surprised at it, but in the end, he ran with it and helped us improve it.
I think that would have been useful for you guys to understand if your father-in-law is happy or sad that day, and probably you can pitch something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think, there's always that, I don't know if you've read the mom test. Have you read the
Yeah,
mom
yeah, yeah, yeah.
test?
The mom's test, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's always a danger when you're presenting your product to family. I
Yeah,
would present
absolutely.
my, I would present TimeNavi to my mom and
Mm.
she would always say, "Oh, it's the best thing ever. It's fantastic." And she was always keen to use it, but that's your family, I guess.
So when did you start getting, did you get positive responses when you shared it with your friends, and or did you get some really useful feedback that you wanted, that made you work like on that product even longer?
Yeah. We got, I would say the feedback was mixed. What we built because we were straight out of university, we didn't really know how to build a useful product yet. And so we built something that we thought looked nice and would be fun. But that wasn't what people needed. And so the most friends and family were saying, yeah, it looks great. But the ones that were really valuable were the ones who told us, actually, I'm probably not going to use this. Have you thought about doing this, that, and something else? And that was the useful feedback that we helped us to kind of change the direction. And we've done a few pivots since then. So,
Yeah, interesting. I mean, actually, the bombs test also says this, right? Like, if you are pitching your product, if you're showing your product to your own family and friends, they don't want to hurt your feelings, and which is why they end up saying all positive feedbacks about it. But if you actually
exactly.
show it to users who are your potential users who want to gain value out of your product, they are the ones who actually give you very useful feedback.
Yeah, totally. And it's a real big trap to fall into, I think.
Yeah.
I've seen other friends who have done that, and they've ended up building a product, and you get feedback from your family and your friends, and they're saying, yeah, it's looking great, so they continue investing work in the MVP. But it's when you send a Stripe link, that's when people decide whether the product's good or not.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit it right on the nail on the head. I mean, actually, even when we started and we sent a couple of our friends the product with a Stripe link, they were like, "Yeah, yeah, it's good, good." But when they saw the Stripe link, okay, we will see about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how was that for you with ProductLogz? How did you get your first users?
So we tried to reach out to a lot of customer, like specifically we start with friends and families, right? We started with them and they had really good feedback, and then that is when we came to know, no, this is not the right audience to sell to. So let's start approaching people whom we don't know, absolute strangers who actually can find value at the product. So we started posting on Twitter communities, and then luckily we got listed in AppSumo Marketplace, which is a complete different
Great.
platform altogether, where you get completely strangers who actually buy your product. The first step is to buy the product, and when they started buying the product and then they started sharing their feedback, that is when we understood, well, our MVP is shitty, we kind of have to work on it.
To change it. Oh, that must have been an exciting feeling when you got the first lifetime deal coming through.
Yes, yes. I mean, like I said, like prior to this, we had also done a lot of some one or two products, and at that point of time, we did not sell any of our product. But this was our first product which we actually sold. The lifetime deal licenses actually started selling off, and then we were like, but we also got a lot of churns as well because the MVP was actually not good, and then we started deciding and improving on the product. How was it
Yeah,
for you in the beginning phases? Like, how did you get your first 100 customers, and did you have a pricing page in place initially, or did you give it away for free?
yeah. So at first it was for free. We tried to launch an app on a kind of marketplace. So we launched on a marketplace for Google, for that kind of integrates with Google Calendar.
Mhm.
And that was something that helped us to get some users initially. And that was great. But we weren't charging for the product. We kept it free because it was just these smiley faces. And what we really were focused on was not time tracking, but on trying to make people's day less stressful. And so we hoped that, if you got a smiley face, you would feel less stressful. But it wasn't really the case. I think people, you know, whether they're stressed or not, they don't want to use software to tell them that they're having a good day or they're having a bad day.
Yeah.
And so we kind of changed from there, and we tried to help people track what they want. So instead of us saying, you're having a great day or a bad day, or you need to track more or less, we let them decide, what do they want to track and what are their goals and their targets for tracking those things. And I think that started to resonate more with people. And when we saw that that was valuable, we launched that as a paid part of the product. I think it was originally $3 a month. And we got our first subscriber after like 1 week of launching that. So that was a few months after we had launched. And that was a really good feeling. When
Yeah.
someone signs up, even for $3, it's exciting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I can completely relate to that. So we had our first sale. We actually priced it pretty high. We had like $89. And then we started self-doubting ourselves. Did we price a little high? And then we actually gave a lot of discount because AppSumo also wanted to put it in a very discounted deal. Then it came back to $19. And I then realized after a couple of months that people are actually paying more for your product. So like if you see a product which is less price, they will not be excited enough to, purchase the product.
So true. Yeah. And that's a hard lesson to learn. I think
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was I was scared that people didn't want to pay. We just put $3. We thought, it's not that valuable really. Yeah. Yeah, really good advice to price higher. People
Yeah.
see it more valuable.
So how much time did it take you from your launching of your free product to convert your users into paid users?
So how much time until we released that paid update?
Yeah, yeah, right.
Uh, right. I think it was about 3 months. Yeah. So we just watched how people used the free version, saw that they were interested. At that point, we started to gain a bit of interest from people. And then, yeah, it was about 3 months. Then we launched the paid version. And since then, we've been iterating and changing it from there. But the paid version was still around personal productivity is what we were looking at. And later on, we transitioned more towards selling to business customers because we realized that the B2C space can be pretty difficult and that B2B is much more friendly for
Yeah,
SaaS
I mean,
founders. Yeah.
interesting you mentioned B2C. I have actually, I had a lot of conversation and debates with my partner, wherein I thought that B2C is more plausible to go and start your product journey rather than B2B, because convincing a business client is much more difficult unless you have like really good value. What are your thoughts on that, B2B versus B2C?
Yeah, I think after a few years of like trying to do B2C and B2B in TimeNavi, but also in some other products, I definitely feel that B2B is the easiest space to be in. Um, the the problem with B2C is that you get so much customer support that you need to do, and people who are like asking for an arm and a leg, and they want
Yeah,
this and that, and they're only paying $5 a month. And then they churn, and because you didn't have, this really specific, unique feature that they think is like really important for everyone else, but actually is only important for them. And so there's all these demands that kind of come at you, and they don't want to pay for the products. They're more difficult. And so when you're selling to businesses, it feels a lot easier, I think. I mean, yes, the sales cycles are longer. It's harder to find clients. But there's just a willingness uh, there's a willingness to pay money, but there's also a willingness to understand that the product is not just for them, that it's also for other people.
yeah,
Whereas consumers are like, they're used to just getting
yeah.
everything that they want.
The best deal that they can possibly get. It just the
Yeah.
lowest amount of figure as possible.
Have you tried a B2C product before, or have you just been in the B2B space?
No, we haven't tried. There was a big no from my partner and co-founder. He
Okay.
said that no, we are not going into the B2C space. It's very, like you said, it's
Yeah.
very difficult to handle the support, and specifically, and they are not very keen on, with the pricing also. They're not very keen on purchasing high-priced products. So, like you said, like you charge around three, five, $8 probably for your platform, and then they'll expect all sorts of support and the features that they are requesting, everything. So that becomes a challenge. And this is not something, a life that we wanted to live, like living under the pressure of, so many customer requests
Yeah.
and that limited amount of money and time. So, which is why we focused on B2B rather than B2C.
I think something that B2C does have going for it, and this is good, is that when you have a lot of when you have B2C, you have a lot of customers, right? And so
Yeah.
the nice thing that you can do is that you can say no to some customers. We had some customers that were a bit abusive towards us, or they, really were, not very kind, and you can let those customers go, and it's okay. Sometimes in the B2B space, you end up with 5 to 10 customers who are really important for you, and
Yeah.
that you can't let them go, and you kind of have to do everything that they want. So
Yeah.
maybe that's the other side of it. But I think that's a better problem to have. Usually then you have revenue
Yeah,
that you
absolutely.
can deal with that problem.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you because it's much more convenient to, cater to the needs of a business or an enterprise client rather than catering to
Yeah.
the needs of so many customers. Even if it's very, enticing to have lots of customers, but yeah, I mean that's a deal that you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
So, so
Definitely true.
So you have a co-founder? Is that your wife?
Yes, my wife, I work with her, which is really good fun. So like you working with your partner, it's really fun. I really enjoy it. Have enjoyed working together. We've done a lot of working from home. We've worked whilst traveling, and we also now, for a few years, we've been working with one of my best friends, which is really exciting.
Wow,
So
interesting. You have like both one best friend and one your wife. Amazing. That's a great
yeah,
combo.
exactly. Yeah, it's a really really great team. So we're really lucky to work with each other and enjoy it. So yeah.
But then I'm very interested to know, working with your wife, how has that been? Like, is it always fun or is it sometimes, well, you have to, why am I working with her?
Yeah, I think most of the time it's really fun. I don't know about your experience, but for me it's like when you're, working together with someone, often you have disagreements, and it's
Yeah,
really nice with your partner that you've already had so many disagreements before that it becomes quite easy in the workplace.
yeah.
But for sure there are times when it's tough. I think the moments when it's tough is when you have different ideas, like you said, to go B2C or B2B and you disagree on something.
Yeah.
And then you have to remember that at work, you can have an argument about it and you can debate it, but you shouldn't bring that home,
Oh,
and you
correct.
shouldn't start arguing over what you should have for dinner or something like that because you're having an argument in the workplace.
Yeah.
That can
Did
be a
that
challenge.
actually happen with you? Like, did some work argument spill over? Actually, no, I'm not making dinner. You just make
Oh
your
yeah.
own.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That we would have an argument in the workplace, and then we don't want to finish. When we finish the working day, we don't want to finish being annoyed at each other. So then we're still frustrated all the way through the evening, and we don't want to talk with each other. It happens for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's
What
very
about you?
common. It's
What's
very
your
common. Yeah, yeah,
experience?
absolutely. For us also. So I had this theory. I have always had this theory in my mind that keep business separate and personal life separate. And
Yeah,
although this works very well in theory, let me tell you the practicality. It's that when you start working with your co-founder who also happens to be your partner, sometimes it doesn't. You cannot just keep both of them separate. Sometimes you feel like
exactly.
uh, but like I understand me, you have to listen to me. But then yeah, we find our ways across. Like, okay, at least it, like you said, right? Like your partner is somebody whom you've had your personal disagreements and a lot of other debates where you have found a way to work it out. So that really falls into place when you're working with your partner in your business as well. Like you have your disagreements, but then at the back of your mind, both of you think that, well, we have to work it out. Let's work it out. Let's find a solution.
Exactly. Yeah, and that really helps because you're used to having those arguments, and you've got quite good at doing them. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So, like
totally.
initially, like you said, that you pitched to your friends and families, then you started getting customers, then you launched a paid plan. Were there any marketing channels that you had specifically focused on, or just listing on the marketplace got you so many customers?
Yeah, just listing on the marketplace, we did quite well, because there were people coming from their calendar, and
Mhm.
so they were kind of the ideal customers for us. But then after that, we started using YouTube as a marketing channel, and had quite good results from that. My best friend who works with us, he works on the sales and the marketing side of things, and he was doing a lot of YouTube videos. He has this wonderful voice that people really enjoy listening to. And so in the YouTube videos, everyone was, I think they were more excited about Chris's voice than they were about the actual application. But
That's very interesting in a weird way.
it worked well for us though. Definitely in YouTube, we started getting some people from there. And then after that, we did the kind of traditional SEO route of publishing blog posts, and doing stuff like that. So yeah, it was mostly the marketplace that was the predominant side of things. But then yeah, past that, it was YouTube and blog posts
And were there
that we
any other
used.
competitors who already existed in the marketplace that you were competing with?
No, we were the first. Yeah. So most time trackers really focus on doing timers, and there are reasons for that. There are reasons why that can be better for some companies, but it's worse for others. We were the first to kind of use your calendar to track time. And since then, there are some competitors who do that. We've seen some competitors, some who just blatantly copied us, which is always fun. But yeah, at the time we launched, we were the first.
Yeah. So did you get that first movers advantage? Would you say that?
Yes, yeah, we did. Yeah, because people kind of they saw us as the ones. We were the people doing time tracking with calendar, and that was kind of our space. And I guess in a way, it still kind of is our space.
That's
So
it.
that definitely was something useful. Yeah.
So do you take inspiration from your coming like your competitors or anybody else while you're building your product and iterating on it or improving on it?
Yeah, good question. I think we do, but we have to be careful too. So we try to take inspiration from, time tracking in general is it's quite a generic, established part of the software market. And so the features that people want is, invoicing, analytics, timesheets, these kind of features. And we wanted to build those into the product quite early on. Um, and for those, we definitely checked out what competitors are doing, saw what we liked, what we didn't. But also a lot of the competitors have gone down a single route, and we wanted to avoid going down that route because it was a very crowded market. And there were some big players there, some with a lot of capital, some who had been going for 20 years. And so we really wanted to distinguish our features to make it more simple and more easy to onboard people to the product, but also to use their calendar for it.
Yeah. So currently, do you have competitors exactly what you are doing, or are you still positioned to a very niche audience or a segment?
We do now have a competitor. Yeah, we have one other competitor who's doing something quite similar to us. They're a VC-backed startup that was set up a few years ago, 2 years ago now, I think. But we're still quite niche. So there's us and this other competitor, and both of us are quite small companies relative to the other time tracking companies on the market. So yeah, we are still quite niche. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So since we're talking about VC-backed companies, I would like to understand what is your take on getting funded versus bootstrapping?
Yeah. Well, I guess I was completely against getting VC funding. I've seen a lot of companies kind of be run into the ground from getting VC funding, and that put me off. But now I think I've changed my mind. I think that it really depends on the company and the space. Um, the thing that I love about not having VC funding is how quick we can move. We're just able to make a decision, do what we want to grow the company and go in that direction.
Yeah.
And of course, that feeling of having control over the company,
Yeah.
which is a really exciting thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure you experienced that
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
ProductLogz as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
but I
mean,
think,
yeah.
sorry, you were saying, yeah.
No, no, please go ahead. Yeah.
The nice thing about VC funding is obviously you get a lot of money, and that helps you to hire people. But I think what we found was that if your product is really good, people stick around.
Yeah.
Marketing is something that it's hard, but it's also not that hard. It's publishing blog posts, it's getting videos out, it's posting on Twitter, stuff like this. So it is hard, but we didn't feel that like $2 million would change completely how we would run that. We were going to do similar things anyway. And so in that sense, we didn't feel that putting this pressure on the growth of the company would be a helpful thing.
Yeah.
I think we're building currently another product, and there we see that VC funding might be more appropriate because of the space. But the time tracking market, companies have existed there for 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
So it's a slow growth kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even I share the same philosophy as you because I have seen a lot of VC funded companies go bust in the beginning of their journey itself. And I feel till the time that you reach enough traction and a product market fit and even profitability for that matter, I don't think bringing on board VC funds would actually help you in any sort of way. So this is my thought. I
Exactly.
mean, a lot of others actually go for VC funding right straight off the bat, but this is actually depends upon founders to founders and person to person. So,
Totally. And
so what?
I
Yeah,
also think that like as a bootstrap founder, we look at VC companies and sometimes we think, oh, what I would do with the money that they have. But actually the money runs out quite quickly
Yeah.
when, when you don't know what you're doing, when you're
Got
not
it.
sure, it's very easy to spend the money.
Yeah, I
So
think once you get the hang of it, once you have a structure around your business, probably VC funding can actually help you scale and grow rather than just straight off the
exactly.
bat. If you take a VC funding, actually you'll run out of the money because you'll be experimenting. In the beginning years, you are actually experimenting with lots of stuffs, and if for some experiments work, some experiments don't work, and if unfortunately if things don't work, you go bust.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, was there any time that you felt like I really want to quit and things are not working or going in the right direction?
Oh, so many times. I think must have been more than 10 times where I thought, oh yeah, we should quit. It's not going well. Yeah, months where revenue went down, months where we were just growing a lot slower than we thought. And yeah, tough times along the way for sure. I think initially we thought it would be a lot easier than it was.
Yeah.
And then we were hit in the face with how hard it is to grow a business, and how hard it is to grow a business online. But also we love the freedom, we love the challenge of doing it, and it was a lot more fun than going and getting a job.
Yeah,
So
I think
that
you
kept
get
me going through it.
yeah, you get reminded of the freedom and but have you worked before in a job?
I have, yeah, yeah. Actually, that motivated me to go back to building products. I spent some time working at a pension company,
Mhm.
and I was verifying that spreadsheets were correct. So the spreadsheets would be generated for people's pensions, and I had to check that the formulas were correct. And obviously, it's a spreadsheet, so it was correct. So I
Yeah.
spent 8 weeks working at this company, and it was the most boring thing I've done for work. So that
But
motivated
you
me to
still
go and
carried out
become.
the spreadsheet thing, right? You have some affinity with spreadsheets.
That's true. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I guess I learned something
Yeah,
from
yeah.
that.
So how
Yeah,
what really I'm really interested to know how would you push yourselves on during those down days? What would you how would you and your co-founder would help motivate each other that no, well, one factor is of course that we do want a freedom, but then there are these down days where you
yeah.
feel like can't go forward. So what did you do exactly and how did you guys motivate each other?
I think the days that I had that made me down were the days where I focused on how much, we could be making or how much we should be making as a company. Instead of the problem that we're solving, the software that we're creating, how fun it is to write software, how fun it is to solve problems for people. And so how I got motivated was I looked at the people who we'd helped, and I looked at the product we built, and that's something that I was proud of. And yes, it could be better, and we could be helping more people. And someone on Twitter is making 10 times more than you are. And all those things might be true, but I think what motivated me is just seeing that this is helping people, and
Right.
that's it's a joy to create software that helps people.
That helps people.
Um,
Absolutely, yeah. And so
yeah,
there's this fad going on. I believe it's a fad because so the fad is that shipping 30 products in 30 days. All right. Or building 12 products in 12 months, something like that.
right.
So,
Yeah,
what is your take on that? Like, and these specifically happen with people who are trying their hand on product building, but it's not clicking in the initial months, like 1 month or 2 months, and then they start building another product and another product. So, do you believe in this concept of shipping products in 30 days and then working on whichever clicks, or do you believe in the concept of working on just one product and uh, building with it along with it and trying to grow that as much as possible?
yep. I guess the answer is it depends. I think at the beginning, this is really useful. If you build a product every month for the first 3 months of your indie hacking journey, it's a great idea, and the reason that's a good idea is that you come up with an idea and your ideas suck, because you have no idea how to start a business. You have no idea what people want. So people come up with ideas like, I don't know, like habit trackers,
Yeah.
or they come
Yeah,
up
there
with
are a lot
things
of
like
apps.
a lot of habit trackers, exactly, yeah, or like there's like, I don't know, a TV remote on your phone, or, it's stuff like this where it's not really useful or important for people. And so for that, it's good to build three products to see, okay, it's hard. I need to pick a right target market. I need to think about, ICPs and stuff like this. But after that, what you say, I think it's completely true. You need to focus on a product. You need to see it pivot, see it change, because usually when it's not going well or you don't have customers, it's because you have the wrong marketing channel.
Yeah.
You have, you know, not no customers to listen to, or if you do have customers, you're not listening to them properly, and all of those other things that are really hard to learn. And if you keep shipping products, you never get to the difficult point where you think your product's great, but your customers they don't need it.
Yeah, are not liking it, or probably it's not getting that much of traction. When did you guys start getting that traction to say that yes, we are now product market fit?
Product market fit, it's always a hard term. You always think you have product market fit, and then you look at the company that's 10 times the size and you think, oh, maybe I don't. When did we? I think it took us about a year before we really saw, okay, this is something that businesses are willing to pay for, that they stick around. We had someone open a bottle of champagne on a call, or Prosecco or something, on a call with us, because they said they loved our product so much.
Oh, wow.
And for us, that was a moment where we were like, okay, that's a good sign. That means it's going well. So I think about a year in. It took us longer than I'd like to admit, but that was because it was, as a team, it was our first time building a really serious product.
Yeah. So, but before you guys reached that stage where people were loving your product, did you feel like you should pivot, you should change, you should start working on another product?
Yes. Yeah, we pivoted. So we were originally looking at making people be less stressful. And then from there, with our smiley faces, from there, we pivoted to personal productivity. So helping people to plan their day, figure out their time spent on different projects that they want to work on. And then from there, we pivoted again into business productivity. So managing business projects for small teams and for freelancers. So it was like
you actually went from B2C to sort of a B2B software.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is a pain if you have actual customers. It's terrible because your B2C customers say, what is this? This is a terrible update. What are you doing? And you say, yeah, I'm sorry. Please just go away.
Ignore that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and like you said, you started with $3. And what is the current price point right now?
Right. Yeah. So currently we price per calendar, because most people, one person is a calendar for most people. And we currently start at $20, and then we go up from there. Ticket sizes can go up to kind of anywhere from like $200 to $500 a month. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And so how did you approach the MRR journey? Like initially, like, of course, you got some customers from your marketplace who were paying probably $3 or $20. But then, when you increase the ticket size, you also have to approach businesses. And how did that happen? And how did you go about it?
Yeah. So we were fortunate. As I mentioned, we were working with Chris, who we work with now, who's my best friend. And he's really passionate about sales and marketing. And so he really enjoyed going to some of these businesses and to trying to sell to them. And that was a learning journey for him as well, because we'd all just graduated from university. But yeah, he's really passionate about that, which I really appreciate, because I love coding and developing, and I'm terrible at sales or selling anything. So I was very fortunate to have him. It sounds like your partner's fortunate to have you as well.
Isn't a similar story like everywhere? Programs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Marketing. I can tell you with confidence, because so at some point of time, I thought I should also learn, develop, start coding. And I did teach myself a little bit of coding. And then I realized that if both of us code, then who is going to market? Who's going to sell? So I moved to selling. And sometimes when I tell him that, oh, you also post, you also approach people, and he's like, please let me be comfortable with my Mac. Let me be comfortable with my code. You can go and talk to people.
So he's very lucky to have you because the sales and the marketing is often the hard part, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I think
absolutely.
the
Yeah.
development can be easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sales and marketing is something that it doesn't work on a very linear fashion, right? Like some things would work,
Yeah,
some might not work, and you have to continuously pursue it to, and specifically the sales cycle is also very long. So yeah,
yeah,
a lot of times you get demotivated, but then yeah, I mean, and then sometimes it does happen. I don't know if it happens with you, but sometimes I feel like, oh, the product is not good. Please improve the product. So
yeah, definitely, exactly. I get a lot of requests from Chris who, when he's talking with customers, and he ends up coming with requests, and yeah, sometimes the request is like, can the page be green or can it be purple or something? You
oh.
know, some completely random request, and you're like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I think this brings me to another question. Like, have you felt that, well, specifically, I mean, this would be a very good question to Chris because he's handling the sales part. And this happens with me that if I am trying to outreach a business, I feel the product is not very mature enough, and probably we might need couple of more features extra, and then a couple of feature requests also comes from the client side. So how do you handle that? How do you handle that pressure of well, whatever the product that we have is good enough, and probably if you need some custom requests, we can work on that.
yeah, that's a good question. I think you know, when we look at our product, we look at it every day. So when we see it, we see something that isn't very good, or you know, we can be excited about it, but we see all the problems. Whereas when a business is making a decision about buying the product, they're often not really trying it so much in detail.
Yeah,
They're looking at the product as a solution to their problem, and they're thinking, is this the right solution? And if you know, work with them and say, you know, we can build out extra features and changes for you, they're usually thinking more about, yeah, this solution, does it fix, uh, is it the right solution to my problem, rather than does this and that feature work exactly as I need it to work? And so I think they care less about the features than we think,
yeah,
as people who are so close to the product, that we see that that little button doesn't look good, or we should do this and we should do that.
yeah. I think as
So as long
product
as
build,
it's really solving that core solution, that's what's important. Yeah.
yeah. But as like you said, like I think as product builders ourselves, because we are so much interacting and close to the product, we find a lot of gaps and problems with it, and
Yep.
it gets sometimes difficult that, well, whether the product, like you said, I mean, reach product market fit, the terminology is so ambiguous because every time you think, oh, I have
It's,
reached product market fit, then you feel like, no, I think there's still a long way to go. So yeah, it's an interesting term, I believe, product market fit.
yeah, definitely. And when you're, you know, when you're making like $10 a month and you look at someone making $1,000 a
Mm.
month and you
Yeah,
think, wow, they've reached product market fit. But then when you get there, your goalposts shift and
goal bullshit.
you think of
Yeah.
something different. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Which brings me to this question. How much are you guys making as of now?
Yeah. So right now we make about 150,000 a year. So our ARR, and that's all software revenue. We previously did some kind of consulting, and we got some revenue from that, but we really wanted to focus on passive software revenue. And yeah, we make 150,000 a year.
Pretty
But
amazing. Yeah.
we're continuing trying to grow, and hopefully, yeah, growing that, trying to get to around a million a year in revenue. Yeah.
So yeah, what is your goal in the next year?
The next milestone is a million a year. Yeah, a million in ARR.
All the
So
best. I
we'll
am
be.
fingers crossed. Yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll be trying to grow to that, and hopefully we will soon. We've got lots of updates and changes coming out. Yeah.
Great, great. So when you are, since your platform is very much dependent on the, Google Calendar, and do you feel that there's, like you are somehow restricted, and probably if things APIs or something changes in Google, then you might have to also like this interesting thing happened with Twitter, right? So there were a lot of Twitter-based products,
Yeah.
and then when they decided to change their policies in terms of API, a lot of products just shut down and they got bust. Do you get that, fear sometimes that, well, what if the Google changes its policy and my business can just go bust or something?
Yeah, it's definitely a fear. fortunately, calendar is a very core part of Google's product. So when Google released things like Google Plus or stuff like that, or Google Glass, things like this, it's changing all the time. But Google Calendar, they update the API like once a year. And so it's really a very stable product. And so for that, we have a lot of confidence that it will stay the same. Usually the problem is the opposite, that they update it too slowly. So if there's a bug, it can be there for 5 years, or sometimes even 10 years. There's a popular bug with Google Calendar that's been around for 10 years now.
Wow.
And it was every year people post and say happy birthday on the issue tracker for the bug. So yeah, it's usually the opposite problem, but I think that I guess that puts our business in quite a stable position. We also build for Microsoft, so we have some kind of diversity in that. But yeah, I know a lot of other people have struggled building on top of Google because they changed the APIs from underneath them. We haven't found that just because we've been working on Calendar. Yeah.
That makes you lucky.
Yeah, very lucky.
And
I guess famous last words, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, hopefully it doesn't change tomorrow.
Yes, let's hope that. Also, there's Notion has also come up with its calendar. I think you guys can explore that as well.
Yes, yeah, they acquired Cron for that one. It's a really good calendar. Yeah.
Interesting. So, what other growth strategies have you guys, tried on, or is it just SEO and marketplace listing and YouTube? That's all.
Yeah, we tried affiliate marketing. We've tried partnering with some other businesses, some other products in the productivity space. Generally, we found that when we were doing lots of strategies, we were distracted, and we just wanted to focus down on a couple that worked for us. And for us, that was SEO and YouTube. And so that's really our focus. We kind of go towards those and focus on those two, because if you focus on 10 strategies, usually none of them work so well. I don't know what your experience is, but
no, absolutely. I absolutely agree with this. Like, initially you try to find a couple of strategies that can actually work. You can experiment with a couple of strategies, but then you boil down to only 2 or 3 strategies that are actually working and which will help you grow and scale your product. Otherwise, it's completely very distracting and doesn't help you focus on the product as such as, or the vision that you have seen for the product. Also, talking about partnerships, how did you guys partner, and what did you do while doing partnerships?
Yeah, so we mostly did partnerships when we were on personal productivity, and we would contact other products. So there's a product called Cold Turkey that I love. We partnered with them, and we partnered with a few other personal productivity tools. And what we agreed is just that our users would get a 20% discount with their product, and their users would get a 20% discount with ours, and we would promote each other on each other's pages. And that was nice. It resulted in a small amount of traffic, but not really a meaningful amount of traffic for us. So in the end, we shut that down and decided that it wasn't worth our while. Again, I think it depends on the products that you partner with and also with the space. I think in the personal productivity space, it was B2C. So consumers, they usually have a small number of subscriptions. They're not that incentivized to grow their number of subscriptions.
So did you guys integrate with that product, or just with a partnership?
We didn't integrate, just cross promoting. Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. And like you said, like for B2C, it is it's a burden for them to subscribe to a product, and then subscribing to an additional product becomes even more a burden for them. So yeah, I think this partnership model might work in B2B, but B2C can be a challenge.
Yeah, it's definitely something we should probably try again now we're in the B2B space.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, what is next for Joshua? What are you planning in the next coming years?
Yeah, good question. So right now we're working on some other small products, which is good fun. It can be a distraction, but it's fun. So we've grown another product that's currently doing a few thousand in ARR, and we'll start growing that out a bit more, which is in the email writing space, and it's using AI. And then other than that, we'll be focused on growing TimeNavi. We've got a lot of customers who need better time tracking, and who are currently using spreadsheets that are really complicated. And there's also a lot of companies who are still using timers and these old kind of ways of tracking time. So we want to help them. We want to help them track their time and figure out what's going to make their projects profitable. So that'll be our focus over the next few years. So a lot of focus on TimeNavi, building out the product and the marketing.
Interesting. So you've safe to say that you've also hopped on the AI wave and working on that.
Of course, yeah. Every founder needs their
Yeah.
AI distraction, right? So we tried not to get too distracted in TimeNavi because it's really not what the product needs. So we built something on the side. Yeah.
Great. And like personally, you have you achieved your personal freedom goal that you wanted to achieve with the indie hacking?
Yes. Yeah. I will be having a kid in about 6 months' time. And the goal for me was that me and my wife and my friend as well, Chris, that we can all live a life that is not tied down by working a 9 to 5, and that we can be free in that. And that's a goal we've achieved. So for now, it's just growing that and continuing that process. We're really happy to be at that stage for sure.
Wow, interesting. I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad for you. And
thank you.
It's very interesting. So just to wrap it all up, what are you thinking about TimeNavi in the coming year? Are you thinking about expanding your team, or are you going to work as lean as you are right now? And
yeah, we're going to continue as 3 people. We might get some contractors, but we won't probably hire anyone else. We love working in a small team. That's really fun. That adds to the freedom that we have. And so we'll definitely continue doing that over the next few years. And we'll just be focused on growing, which is exciting. Yeah.
And any advice that you have for upcoming founders like me, or who are actually still struggling in their journey? So what would you, as a veteran, have to say to us?
Be patient. When you see lots of people doing well on Twitter and other platforms, there's usually years of hard work that's gone into that. And, as you go through that process, you're developing the most useful skill along the way that will end up earning you huge amounts of money in the future. But sometimes, it feels hard in the moment, but it's well worth it. Continue.
Yeah, it's all worth it. I really wanted to hear that. It will all be worth it one day.
It is.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Joshua. Amazing session. I really got to learn a lot from you. I hope our listeners will be able to also take away as much as possible from this session. And thank you for joining. Thank you for coming on board, and all the best in your journey.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was really fun to chat. Enjoyed it.
Thank you everyone for joining in today, tuning in for this episode. I hope you were able to take a lot of insights, get some interesting takeaways, and learn a lot from this particular episode. Also, if you are looking for a time tracker app, do check out timenavi.com. Also, don't forget to check out ProductLogz, your customer feedback management platform. I will now see you on my next episode. Until then, goodbye. Take care.